The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
As of this recording, we are on the verge of another year coming and going. And like in years past, it's been a wild ride for sure, hasn't it? And I think all of us are under the false hopes that next year is going to be better. Damn it. Well, maybe it will be. I'm hoping it will be. And some folks may think that this year-end show is better than years before. And that I can't tell you till it's over. But let's find out together. Welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome to the 2023 year-end top 13 films of the year show or something like that. I don't even know what we call it. We have all these names for our special shows, and this one doesn't really have a name. It's just the year-ender. Doing the year-ender. So
the year-ender bender, baby.
Maybe that's it. So there you have it. We are live. Surprise. We don't typically do this one live, but I figured, you know what? Like, it saves me a step of having to upload it. So that's cool with me. So, yeah, hey, we're live. And we do it live anyways. Like, when we record, if it's not streamed live, all we do is just basically hit record and then stop when we're done. And, nothing gets edited or changed. So figured, what the fuck? Let's do it live. It is New Year's Eve, New Year's Evil, if you will. And we're going to talk about our top 13 films of the year. So it was an interesting year in film. In putting the list together, I realized that, I had kind of like, I knew what my top 2, 3, 4 maybe roughly were going to be. Wasn't quite sure the order. But then after that, like I thought, like, you know what? Like, we watched a lot of good stuff this year, and we didn't watch too much in the way of bad stuff, but nothing that was like, oh my God, like this is number one with a bullet, like for me, it was a little bit more difficult to figure that out. Typically I know heading in. So I guess we're kind of talking about our criteria a little bit, but just overall, the year in film, what'd you guys think?
Yeah, this was a very tough year, and I don't know if it was, at first I was thinking maybe, I was off last year and I came back this year and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm just a little rusty. And then after thinking about it for a while, I'm like, no, it's not my fault. It's the film's fault. This was an excruciatingly tough year. That nothing really stood out. Everything was basically in that plane of being mediocre, with a couple just jumping over that hump past mediocre to really, really good. So it was tough. This was a brain teaser, if anything.
Raven Shadow?
Yeah, for me, I kind of got my list fairly quickly, actually. I don't know. Are we including like our criteria in this, or just?
We can hold off on the criteria for now, but
okay.
Yeah, just general the year in film for us.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got the printout. Should print out the list. I didn't use my phone, Monster Zero. I have actual papyrus that I work off of. And
did you revert it to papyrus?
Yeah. Print single page only. So I'm flipping through, and as I'm looking at the names, I was like, oh, I kind of like just randomly what titles kind of came to mind. And quickly from the jump, I got probably 14 that made my list. Now, in that quick looking, I didn't necessarily get my order, but they were movies that just stood out to me that I actually just remembered. So
and that's a miracle.
yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely, it's always interesting to take a look back at the year in film that we, and just, I don't know, for people who may have not listened to Year Ender that we've done before, we only cover the films that we've discussed on the show. So it's just purely stuff that we have talked about on the podcast. You know, everyone may have a different favorite film. Like, honestly, like, I haven't really thought too much about it, but since we didn't review it on the show, I think I'll just go ahead and say I think my favorite film of 2023 that I saw was Barbie. Like, not kidding, it was fucking awesome. So, you know, I haven't taken a look at everything and you know, kind of broken it down, but that's one that really stuck with me. So yeah, it was definitely a different year. There was a lot of quality stuff, and you know, I think, like MZ said, there was a lot of stuff that was, I think you said, mediocre. For me, like, middle of the road. Like, it was good. I like that. I'm not mad that I saw that. And then it's, you know, will I see it again? Maybe, maybe not. It's sort of a lot of stuff in that vein for me of like, yeah, that was cool. I dug it. And then there was a couple that stuck with me that I know I will go back and watch for various reasons. But other than that, yeah, it was just, and I hate to say middling. When I say middling, typically that sometimes means not good, you know, but to me, it was sort of like a lot of stuff was in the middle. There was no, I actually had trouble with the Dear God No award this year, which we'll talk about on the Patreon show. Cause to me, there was only like 2 or 3 that might qualify for it. So that to me is really good. The fact that, you know, there was only like, I had to actually think about the worst film of the year. So that ends, you know, I think that proves that it was a very good year for quality. Now, was there as much really great stuff? Maybe not. I think that's kind of where I'm at. So the way
there was really no, well, I'll discuss it. Actually, I'll discuss it when we do our, thing. Never mind. My bad.
Yeah, so the way we do this, and this may be the first time we've ever done a list with just 3 of us. Last year, I actually went back last year. Aries couldn't make the show last year, and we had our sort of ace in the hole, Josh, joined us, and he did it on short notice, if I recall, because he had seen about 54, I think he said 54 out of the 60 movies or something like that. So that's pretty good. So we had Josh join us, and this is before MZ came back, and of course he hadn't seen any of the, you know, he hadn't been watching along with us last year, so he wouldn't have helped even if he had been available to join us. And we also last year had Patreon supporters contribute. And I will say I'm a little remiss in saying that I didn't think about that ahead of time. I would have liked to have had the Patreon supporters submit their list. So I apologize for not doing that. It was a lot. It's extra work because I have to like take everyone's list, make one master list out of Patreon, and then add that all up and stuff. So I just didn't. I've been trying to really this week stay off my computer. I don't usually do a good job of that when I'm on like, you know, vacation or holiday breaks, whatever you want to call them. So this week I made sure to do a lot of that. So that's something I wish I would have done, but we may bring it back next year because that was a lot of fun to get the Patreon folks involved. So, but yeah, so it's just the 3 of us. I think this might be the first time that we've done just the 3 of us. I think in the past, let me just actually see. I think in the past we've typically gone through like what like the number 1 film was last year or something, or maybe the top 3.
Yeah.
So let me just pull that up real quick. So 2022 top films of the year. I'll just go through the list, top 13, just for the hell of it. MZ probably won't. You've probably only seen a handful of these MZ since it was last year, but this is the master list. So after we did all the calculations, Saloom was number 13, Wounded Fawn number 12, The Big Four was number 11, Men was number 10, Decision to Leave was number 9, Pearl was number 8, The Black Phone was number 7, The Northman was number 6, Crimes of the Future was number 5, Deadstream number 4, Nope number 3, Barbarian number 2, and the number 1 film for last year, overwhelmingly so, was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh shit!
So that was last year. MZ, did you? I can't remember. Did you see Deadstream? We may have talked about this.
Yeah. Yeah,
What-
I saw Deadstream. I thought it was good.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
liked it. Yeah. The last 4 films on your list I saw, including Men.
Oh, okay,
I
cool.
watched Men. Didn't think too much of it though.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's not really your your thing so much. Would Everything Everywhere All at Once be high on your list?
It definitely would have been on my list. That movie was fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of figured it would be.
That movie was great.
So last year, I mean, for me, looking at last year, like I actually had my top 5 was really difficult. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was just like that was a no doubter for me. No doubter. When I saw that, I was like, man, this is going to be difficult to topple for any film. But then, I also had Men, The Northman, Decision to Leave, Nope. All those were fucking phenomenal. So for me, it was difficult to really slot them in. And, in other films like great horror films like Barbarian, Deadstream, there was a lot of really good ones. So, yeah, but this year, a little bit more difficult. So it's funny. MZ and I were just talking about, we were like right before we connected up with Raven Shadow, we were still kind of like maybe moving some stuff around because it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to stay here or not. My top 2 were pretty easy, but other than that, I feel like these could shift on a daily basis,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not 100% positive about my list. I'm comfortable about having this list. It's its placement.
Yeah.
Because on my list, like number 13 could very easily be number 7 and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's interchangeable. This is probably the most interchangeable list we've ever had.
Yep. Let's see here then. I don't know if anyone's watching live. I let me just pull up the chat just in case. So like I said, I just kind of like dropped it. Oh yeah, we have Marion and Angry Townsman are hanging out. And they both
Nice.
said Marion says hiya and Angry Townsman says hey.
Hey, baby.
You talking to MZ or me?
They know who they are.
And let's see. And anything on YouTube? Oh, Casual Noob. He says, hey, I'll just posted my top 5 horror comedy movies on my YouTube and your Facebook page just now. Sorry for the late submission. No worries. Thanks for letting us know. I will pull that up so we can play that later on in the show. We actually, what we'll do, I think we typically do is we kind of pepper them throughout. So I think we'll do something similar. We'll pepper the list, the top 5 lists. Let's see. Casual Noob, I don't actually see. Maybe it hasn't officially posted to YouTube yet, but I don't see it on there. Let me actually do a different thing. Yeah, the most recent one I see is his attachment. So, oh wait. Okay, no, I got it. It because it was so new. It says 8 minutes ago. That's why it wasn't showing up on his page yet. So never mind. I got it. Cool. So we got that. We have a couple voice messages. Let me see what we got here. Yep. Okay. So as of right now, we have like 4. So if anyone else has anything that they would like to try to get in before we wrap up, and you're watching live, please feel free to send a top 5 list. Can be anything. Top 5 films you saw, top 5 films we covered, top 5, I don't know, cigarettes you smoked, top 5 drunken evenings, I don't know, whatever you want. top 5 anything. And we will make sure to get it on the show if you get it in before we wrap up. All right, so I think maybe we should begin. And let's see here. Let me see how I set up the list. So how about this? How about we start with MZ? He wasn't here last year. So MZ, if you want to talk about your criteria, and then go ahead and give us your 13th film for the year.
Oh, are we guessing each other's
Oh.
top?
Yeah, thank you. Yep, let's do that too. So let's do a round of that first. So, yeah, MZ, if you want, go ahead and guess what you think our films are.
Go back to my master list here. I think Raven Shadow. I think you're now. Bear in mind, I have no remembrance of what movies you guys liked or didn't like. So
Thank you.
I'm just going by gut, you know. Raven Shadow. There's 2 that stick out in my head. That stick out to me that I feel like is going to be the one that's going to be your number 1. And if I have to flip a coin and decide, I would have to say Sisu is going to be your number 1. And Wolfie.
Yep.
There's a couple that stick out to me as well. And I'm going to have to go with When Evil Lurks with you.
All right. Good picks. All right, Raven Shadow, how about you? What are your guesses?
My thoughtful Wolfie's selection was pretty easy. So I think Wolfie's choice, I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Onyx the Fortuitous for Wolfie's number 1. And for Monster Zero, that was another easy one. It was clearly James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he's going to completely troll all of us and pick that.
That would be awesome if he did.
I didn't even bother putting that on my list. Okay, on my master.
No, for real. MC was hard. MC was really hard this year.
Thank you.
All year.
I know.
He's so excited to be back on the show.
Yeah, whoa, put it away. I would have to say When Evil Lurks for MZ as well.
Okay. All right. So for me, I had a few for Raven Shadow. I couldn't settle on. There could be like the sentimental pick. There could be one that I know you really liked when we reviewed it that I remember. And then there was the recent one that I always feel you have a recency bias. So that's why it's hard to figure out. But you know what? I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to go with Renfield for Raven Shadow.
Oh, nice.
And for MZ, I also had trouble with MZ's. I couldn't remember which films he really loved, but I remember one that we all loved, and I just remember I was surprised at how much he liked it. So that stuck with me. So I'm going to go with, for MZ, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. So there we go. Those are our guesses for what we think everyone's top 3 or top film of the year, I should say, is going to be. And now Now, go ahead, MZ, and provide your criteria for your list.
Well, my criteria is gonna blow a hole in some people's, meaning you two, uh, choices for me, because as I was making my list, I'm looking at the movies and I'm thinking, they're good, they're entertaining, they're fun, they're violent, they're whatever criteria that I would like to have in a good movie. However, after looking back on some of these films, I'm thinking maybe I might have been a little bit too hasty in thinking they're good, but they're not that good. And I started second guessing myself. And I'm like, you know what, that's good, but it's not as good as what I thought this film was. And I might have thought that this film was not as good as the previous film. But now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm thinking, you know what? It actually is better than the other film. So there is going to be some back and forth on that. And so whatever films that I felt were really really superior have fallen farther down the list or is not on the list altogether.
Okay.
So that's my criteria. It was tough.
All right. Well, do you want to kick it off with your number 13?
Sure. Okay. Well, number 13 is gonna prove that point that I just made right now. This movie I really had an enjoyment with. I really enjoyed watching it. Some parts of it were great. Other parts were mediocre, and a couple of parts were a little less than that, but still enjoyable, although not clearly the level to what I thought some of the previous parts were. It's got a good story. It's very well acted, particularly by one actor who I shall remain nameless until I reveal the title. But this was just a very well-rounded story, and it needed to have a well-rounded story because there's so many other things going on with it, so many other stories that are going on with it. That said, my number 13 pick is Satanic Hispanics.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah,
and the actor was the artist formerly known as Pedro.
Ephraim Ramirez. That's it. Yeah.
Ephraim Ramirez. Yeah.
All right. That's a good pick. That was enjoyable. A little. I don't know. Maybe I'm not surprised. Yeah, I don't think I'm surprised. Okay, Raven Shadow. How about you? Criteria, and then your number 13.
So once again, a big thing about my criteria is looking at movies that I remember. And all jokes aside, we watch a lot of fucking movies for the show.
60. What was it? 61 MZ? Do you remember? I think it was 61.
61.
Yeah.
Or it might have been actually, well, because I didn't throw in Suicide Squad in the other film, it could be up to 63 or 64. I don't know, but
it was 61. I had another list where I had them all listed by number. So yeah, 61.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it right here. Okay, yeah. I did skip over some. So yeah, 61.
So a big part of my list of movies that I did remember by title, I did go back and watch a couple of clips for some because I wanted to see them again. And and that's the important thing. My criteria, much like when I say Trick or Treat, are movies that not only I remember, maybe they're quotable, but they're movies that I want to talk with somebody about, whether it's on that mention, 10-minute break at work, or you see friends you haven't seen in a while, and you're like, oh, yo, have you seen this? Oh, no, but you should check this out. That's some of the conversations I had. And I tend to leave off movies that I've already seen, like in terms of like Patreon, for instance, like, that year it came out, James Gunn's Suicide Squad was my favorite movie of that year, but that was not show related. You know, I could watch Blood In, Blood Out every day,
Literally every day.
literally every day. That was EF's Patreon pick. Adore that movie.
Yep.
Didn't make my list because it's not fair. So, but really, it's the movies that I remember and I want to tell people about.
Mhm.
So, with that said, my number 13 is a little bit of a throwback grindhouse feel. You could say that this could have been a fake trailer included with the Rodriguez Tarantino grindhouse gimmick from a couple years back. And it stars a beloved actor of mine from a beloved movie of mine. It deals with a subject that I love, killing, cinematic, and to be fair, real life. Although it didn't happen in this film, Nazis, or at least Nazi adjacent characters. And I like badass chicks doing badass things, especially when they're badass while killing Nazi adjacent hybrids. So my number 13 is, oh yeah, I love cheese, is Mad Heidi.
All right. It's funny. I thought until you mentioned a girl killing Nazis, I thought you were going in a different direction. So
Yeah, a little bit of swerve.
swerve in your glory.
Little swerve Strickland there for your face. But goddamn, Casper Van Dien puts in a fantastic performance as the cheese dictator. And I had fun with this one.
All right. So I may pause here or there because I'm going to put them on the list here. But Mad Heidi was actually, that was the first film that we did of 2023. So I'm surprised you remembered it.
I had to watch the trailer.
All right. So for me, my criteria is kind of similar to Raven Shadows. And nothing against any of the Patreon picks. Please don't think, you don't pick good movies or whatever. Because that's not the case. Because I liked a lot of them, especially Blood In, Blood Out was fucking awesome. And it was a first time watch for me. But there's a part of it that I want to keep the list to mostly new VOD releases, because I want this to be indicative of the year in film, So there may have been some stuff, like, for instance, like some of the movies we did early in the year may have come out in 2022, but, got a VOD release in 2023 or something like that. And that's going to happen as well coming up in this next year. There's a few films that are currently in theaters that I know we definitely are going to do on the show. So it sort of blurs that line a little bit of whether it's, previous year or current year. But we do VOD releases, so that's our sort of marker for when something is, what year it is in. So, yeah. So for me, I didn't include films that were Patreon picks unless it was like a new film that we might have done anyways, because there was a few like that. What comes to mind? I think the ones. Oh, so Corny picked The Killer and The Suicide Squad, and the Killer was one that was sort of like I was looking at, about maybe doing. And then let's see what else we have. Project Wolf Hunting was also a fairly new one. I think it might have come out the previous year. And yeah, so we had a few that were still pretty recent, and so those would have been in contention. But anything prior, especially if it's a little older, would not be. And yeah, so that's my criteria. And then also, what I really take into account is how do I remember a movie at the end of the year? I know I mentioned recency bias earlier, and sometimes that can have an effect that, I saw this film last month, I really liked it, so I remember liking it more than a film we did in January that I really loved or something. So, I try not to let that factor in, but I look at the whole year in its entirety and say, okay, well, which ones do I really remember? And then the other aspect of it is, I feel like we find like our films, like finger quotes, like films that we like to champion that maybe people aren't seeing or hasn't been featured as heavily on like other podcasts or other shows or whatever. So, you know, I feel like there's always this like attachment to those kinds of films. And there's, I think, a couple on here that I could see being like that. You know, I remember like Psycho Goreman, I think 2 years ago, we loved it. And that was like one we did earlier in the year, and we just kept talking about it all year. You know, so there's some like that they just keep coming up, and, you know, we still talk about that fucking Hunky Boys line, you know? So,
I don't care for hunky boys.
or do I? So, yeah. So it's one of those things that, you know, that could move a film up the list a little bit, is if it's one that we really champion, that I feel like kind of needs it, you know? Or not needs it, but it is fun to talk about, and one that's not getting as much play, you know, kind of takes on a bit of a more of an emotional sort of attachment. So with all that said, this actually, my 13th is actually one of those, but we didn't really talk about it a lot during the course of the year. But it's a director that I really enjoy. We've seen a couple of his films that he's done on the show. Unfortunately, he hasn't done a lot of films lately. He's mostly been working on other stuff, but this was just a fun movie. And thinking back, I was like, you know what? Like, I really dug that. It wasn't a perfect movie, but it reminded me of like kids growing up like us, you know, like kids doing these things that we would have done, or we did do when we were younger, or teenagers, you know, 20-somethings. So for me, I just remembered this movie very fondly and had a fun time with it. Despite, you know, it's not going to win any awards or anything like that, but I just remember having a good time with it. And that would be Jason Eisner's Kids vs. Aliens. It's my number 13. So let's go back around now to MZ, and let's hear his number 12.
Yeah. Well, let me also just say that I don't have any of the older films on my list. Okay, that the Patreon selected. I never did, never will. Only films that are dealing with this year. So that being said, my number 12 is a film that is very different, yet well, let's put it this way: it's a new spin on an old. I don't forget what the proverb is. New spin on an old idea. I guess that's the phrase. I don't know, but I did like this one quite a bit, and there's a lot of interesting things that happen here in terms of identity, in terms of trust, in terms of seduction, in terms of favorability towards the innocent, which in itself is well, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I lost my train of thought. Now hold on.
Neither do we.
But overall, it's got a great cast, a wonderful cast. In fact, let me just point out that this I'm not speaking specifically just on this film, but a lot of the films that we covered this year dealt with a lot of resurging actors and actresses, and I thought that was pretty interesting for this year. This is one of them. Very well done, interesting. Like I said, it deals with identity from an old author, and so my number 12 is Suitable Flesh.
That was one that I wasn't sure where that was going to land for some folks, because I know it ended up being a pretty good discussion, and you know, I think overall we enjoyed it. But yeah, I wasn't sure. But there you go. It's MZ's number 12. So how about you, Raven Shadow? What's your number 12?
So, I mean, sometimes you know, we've all experienced this where a title alone can make us, you know, grab that VHS tape from the video store. You know, it might just take a title, you know, or a great, you know, image can sell an album. And there are some titles of movies that are awesome, but the movie's a piece of shite. You know, Snakes on a Plane. You know, the whole gimmick was the Sam Jackson line about get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane. And that wasn't even in the movie. They had to add that in after the fact. Shitty movie. Sharknado, you know, Megapuss versus Wonder Crab or whatever the fuck. But sometimes there's actually truth in advertising, and a movie that is way better and more fun and has every right to be would be Cocaine Bear. I enjoyed it.
All right. So Raven Chow's number 12 was Cocaine Bear. That's one. That's another one. I you know, generally I think we had fun with it, but I wasn't sure where that was going to end up. But there you go.
Honestly, that was the other one that I had floating around in my head as to whether or not he would pick it as his number one.
Well, it's for sure that he wouldn't have forgotten it. That's for sure.
No, definitely not.
All right. I think I finally settled on my list. I was like kind of like going back and forth on a couple, but I think I'm gonna let me just one more check. I think I've settled. I think I've settled on the order. So for me, number 12, this was a film that I think was really well done and featured an actor I've seen in a series that I don't think I've ever seen in a movie, but he did a very admirable job, and it also had a good child actor who did a really good job in this, and it was kind of a creepy little story, and I generally thought it was pretty good. It's one I think I wanted to go back to, but I never had the opportunity or just never went back to it. But it's one I'd like to do that too, maybe around Halloween, because that's kind of the vibe you get from it. So for me, number 12 would be the film Cobweb. So let's go back to MZ and let's get his number 11.
Sometimes movies can succeed on just sheer simplicity alone. A one-note movie. Here it is from beginning to end with really nothing in between to change the narrative. This is a one-note movie, and it was great. Had a fun time with it. It's enjoyable. It's explosive. It's challenging. You do have to put you do have to put reality aside and just accept what you're seeing. It's violent. It's occasionally funny. It's got a Robert Rodriguez sort of style to it near the end of the film. And I enjoyed that. As corny as it seems and as cliched as it seems, because you do see this type of thing in other films, and it does come off as that. And it comes off as that here, but you enjoy it. Mostly because of the end result, mostly because of the goal that's at stake here. I had fun with this movie. It was just a blast from beginning to end, and I loved it. And that movie is Sisu. Because there's nothing better than watching Nazis getting slaughtered for 90 minutes.
All right. MZ's number 11 is Sisu. Raven Chattel, let's hear your number 11.
When I first heard about this movie, my first thought was kind of, oh boy. But then I thought about it more, and I saw a trailer, and it featured that, one particular actor for a time was my favorite actor, especially as they forayed into some over-the-top action movies. And while character-wise, Bear My Face version. My least favorite version of this particular archetype or trope. I gotta say, I had a ball with this movie. It was violent. It was also funny and at times adorable. So my number 11 is Renfield.
Oh man, I was wrong.
Way wrong.
Yeah. I just adored it. I love Cage's, mustache twirling performance. I loved the kid, the new Lex Luthor role. I loved his romance with the cop. I love this stuff. What was it? Fuck you, Todd.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was Todd. Yeah.
Quotable lines. I just had fun with this, and say it was fucking gory too at times.
Mhm.
So yeah. I see one of those flicks that I think a lot of folks dismissed, but folks that we know in our kind of sphere saw it, seemed to overall like it. But I had a blast with Renfield.
Renfield, bring me my top 13. Bring me my post-it
Renfield,
notes.
fetch my Oscar.
Bring me
Fetch
my
my People's
post-it
Choice
notes.
Award.
Oh shit! All right, so Renfield for Raven Shadow. Let's see. All right, so for me, okay, here we go. Here's my list. This one I had trouble with where I was going to place it. I really dug it, and originally it was a little bit higher, and then kind of came back down a little bit, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to nudge it up. Just overall, though, it was an enjoyable film, and I think some of the others might have been more memorable for me. So that's ultimately why this one sort of ends up where it ends up. But I will say that whenever we get a film from these directors, I get excited, and I am curious to see what they're going to do next, because they have a very interesting style, and they really, I mean, in the couple films we've seen from them, haven't disappointed yet. So for me, my number 11 is from the Addams Family, Where the Devil Roams.
Ooh, nice.
So let's, you know what? Let's do our 10s. How about that? Let's do our 10s, and I'll play one of the messages that we have, one of the top 5s. So I'll get that queued up. But let's hear from MZ. What's your number 10?
Number 10. Okay. Well, I just remarked about with Sisu about being a one-note film. This film is also a one-note film, but on a much higher plane, meaning its one-note narrative is much stronger. It's higher, and this is about as high of a one-note film as you could possibly get. And I still found it to be fascinating. It's dark, it's claustrophobic, it's creepy, and that narrative doesn't let up. From frame A to frame Z, it just keeps going. And I have it at number 10. It would be higher on my list, but it's at number 10 because I feel that the preparedness that you have to endure to watch a film like this, you have to prepare for it. You have to be in a certain state in order to watch it and to get the most out of it. But I found it to be fascinating and interesting, and it's probably the most divisive film of the year. And my number 10 is Skin of My Ink.
Oh, what the fuck?
Hey.
Hey, it's his list.
Yeah, I see. Now, I also have it on Blue, because every year I always have a movie that I put in my top 10, or top 13 rather, for Blue. And here it is, Skin of My Ink on Blu-ray. So,
yeah,
number 10.
I was curious to see. There's a couple films that were very divisive this year. not amongst us necessarily, but amongst the horror community. And that was one of them. There's another one that maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't. I'll mention it later. But yeah, there's a couple that were really, some were saying was like one of the best pictures of the year. Some were saying it was one of the worst. And it's just crazy to have something that divisive. And yeah, that's definitely one of them for sure. So, but yeah, hey, I'm surprised that ended up on MZ's list, but there you go. All right, Raven Shadow, your number 10.
All right, my number 10 features definitely a little cinematic kink I have, in that it's something that could be done as a stage play. It also set, after the greatest generation, if you will, of characters. And even though we don't see it happening in the film, they do talk about killing Nazis, which I like. And it features a ensemble cast in remarkably interesting roles, and it's tense. It gets wacky. There's elements of some great gore, especially involving head wounds. And my number 10 is Brooklyn 45.
All right. Brooklyn 45, Raven Shadow. That's also another one I wasn't quite sure where that was going to land for folks. I remember, I think our conversation was pretty positive about that. But there you go. It's Raven Shadow's number 10. When did we watch that? It was kind of middle.
It was early. I think it was winter.
No. It was the 29th film we did, so. All right. So
you're looking at sometime around June.
Yeah.
June or July.
That's probably all right.
think.
Oh, really?
All right. So my number 10, let's see. So just so you guys know, whenever you guys mention a film, I write it down on your list. So I have like a list where in front of me of the top 13 for everybody. And then I have a spreadsheet where I have all the films that I have to assign a point value. So I did it this year so I don't have to take time to add everything up at the end. So I have it set up. So in the spreadsheet, I just add the numbers in and there's a formula that adds it up for me. So
no overlap yet.
No, not yet. All right. So my number 10. Oh, there will be overlap. We'll have our first overlap here. So my number 10, this movie basically delivered on what you expected of it. And it was really well made. It was really violent, and it had a character that you could really root for, not because we knew a lot about him, but because of what he was doing and who he was killing. So, yeah, I think it was just a really well-made flick overall. And it's already been brought up, but that film, well, let me actually mention the director, directed by Jalmari Hollander. And so Jalmari directed Rare Exports as well, which is a pretty well thought of Christmas movie. And yeah, so in that film is Sisu would be my number 10. So let me add those points there. Sisu, the first film that's been picked more than once. All right. So we got from 13 to 10, and we're going to start to dip into the beneath the 10s, I guess, into single digits. That's what I was trying to say. And we will do that in just a moment, though. But first, let's check in with our boy Casual Noob Cybot, and let's see what he has for a top 5 list.
Okay, these are my top 5 horror comedies.
Oh, all right, nice.
Number 5, Renfield.
Yeah, boy.
Number 4, Deathgasm.
Nice.
Number 3,
Nice.
Scary Movie. Number 2, Bubba Hotep.
There you go.
And number 1, the best horror comedy that I believe, in my opinion, do not come at me, bro. Army of Darkness. Hope you all have a wonderful new year, and thanks for everything this year. Let's do even more next year. Later. It's Casual News Sidebot signing out.
Nice.
All right, Casual Noob. So he did his
Good
top
luck.
top 5 horror comedies. Obviously not new films. He just top 5 that he saw this year. I mean, I can't really argue with number 1, right?
Right, for sure. The top 5 brother right there.
So great. Let's see, great list from Casual Noob. I appreciate you submitting that, Casual Noob, and for hanging out. And yeah, let's do some more next year. Let's have an even more fun next year. And so he says, yeah, it's he says, hey, sorry, I sorry to say, but I had to go on and off with my Patreon pledge for the year of 2023. But going forward, I'm putting the Patreon for you all in my budget, so nothing unforeseen happens there. Oh, hey, if people want to do like half a year, like I'm totally cool with that. Like whatever people can do, like times can be tough, and we'll be okay. It helps the show for sure. And things have been tight at times for me this, in the last couple of years, but and most of the I mean, I don't know, like most of the money comes from my bank account for the show, but with the Patreon the last couple of years, we've been able to sort of like just make sure that it just keeps running and it doesn't need much from me. So that's super helpful. And yeah, if anyone can give, obviously, we appreciate it so much, but we also understand that shit happens, and no one should ever feel guilty or anything for having to cancel for a time or cancel period. That's just the way it goes. If it's like $5 a month or $10 a month can add up. I totally get it. And even if you want to jump down to the $2 tier for a little bit, or you have to cancel for a little bit, no problem. So I hope nobody feels any like shame or guilt around that, because it's not even worth it. We appreciate any and all support you guys can give whenever you can. All right, let's continue on. So getting into the single digits here, MZ, what is your number 9?
Well, my number 9 is a film that's based on truth, honesty, trust, belief, the perception of reality. It deals with cultism, and whether or not said members in cult know something that you don't. And it's an interesting story. It's definitely a now story, and it's surprisingly well acted by its main antagonist. This movie had me on the edge of my seat, but I decided to stick around and watch the rest anyway. No, I'm only kidding. But it did have me on the edge of my seat because it was killing me as to how this movie is going to end. And I wasn't disappointed. It ended the way I think makes sense. Plus, it's from a director that I feel has reemerged in my world. And let's hope he stays there. This is Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, fliggity-doo.
Oh, all right. Knock at the Cabin for MZ, number 9. It's funny. I never thought that I would see M. Night movie on your list.
Surprise, surprise, right?
Yeah. But hey, I mean, you can't deny. Yeah, it was definitely a return to form for him, I think. So I hope we definitely get some more of that. All right, Michael Ramchado, what is your number 9?
My number 9 follows a trend of things I've already mentioned that I like so far. But it's also a sequel that we had done previously on the show in years past. And while it's not by any means a like-to-like comparison, uh, much like something that Casual Noob Cybot said, where Army of Darkness was the first Evil Dead movie I had seen. And my number 9, while it was a sequel, it does a good job of catching the viewer up if they hadn't seen the previous installment. And it carries the trope of familiar actors and roles that are typically outside their realm. And it's also badass chicks doing badass chick things. And it involves, spoiler alert, Nazi motherfuckers getting their ass kicked. So my number 9 is The Wrath of Becky.
It's funny. I almost thought about that being your number 1.
A lot of Nazi stuff going on this year, I noticed.
Yeah.
Now that you look back on it. Jesus.
Getting their asses whooped. But it was good. I think fucking Stifler killed it in his role. You know what I mean? Sean William Flannery Scott. What's his name?
Sean William Scott.
Flannery Godwin. What's it?
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott. Yeah. That boy good. Becky whooped ass.
All right. So let's do my number 9. I'm guessing this is on no one else's list. This one here. I'm not. I don't think this one is going to show up on again. But this one stuck with me, and there's something about folk horror. Even when it's subtle, there's just something about the sort of the haunting feeling of it, you know? And a lot of times it deals with cultural things that we may not quite understand, or, you know, just ideas and concepts that aren't kind of fresh to us. So, but this one, there's something about it that really stuck with me. It's kind of a haunting sort of thing, and I really dug it. And this is my I guess one of my monocle picks of the year, probably. So for me, number 9 was let me just pull it up real quick. I actually forget the director's name, but it was a film that it makes me excited to see what the director's going to do next. And he's done a few films prior that have gotten some decent praise, but let's see. Does he have? Okay, he's just got like a couple shorts sort of that he's working on. But anyways, the director Mark Jenkin, and the film was Ennis, Maine, and really dug it. So yeah, it's a haunting film for me. Like if you think about it's almost like Skinamarink, but like on like the Cornish like coast, but also it shows more. But I feel like it uses a lot of really subtle photography and also sound effects to a great degree, and also has you really kind of looking at the screen to see if there's something you're missing. Is there something there? You know, things like that. So I really dug it. Ennis, Maine is my number 9. All right. Number 8, MZ.
Get back to my list here. Okay. All right. This is probably going to be a first for Trick or Treat Radio's Top 13. I don't think this has ever happened before. In fact, I'm willing to bet my life on it.
Mm-hmm.
This film that I select as my number 8, I never got to review.
Oh.
I never got to say anything about it, unfortunately, and I had plenty to say about it. But I'll give you the abridged version. I felt that this film was interesting, funny. It's got a It's got a colorful cast filled with people that you can tell by their personalities who they are, so you don't get mixed up. It's an interesting film, and it's again another now picture because they use there's a plot device in this film that I felt was, or not a plot device. I don't want to say that, but let's just say that the cast, the people who are in this film, help the story along in the film. Like I said, it's intelligent at times. It's very witty at times. And at the same time, it falls back into that old slasher trope, a bevy of them actually. And this still entertaining, and this still fun, and it's still enjoyable to watch. With that said, my number 8 film is, it's a film I never got a chance to review, The Blackening.
Oh.
And sorry, MZ, how come you didn't review it? Did you miss that show?
No, I had issues with the computer, with my tablet, and it just kept on bowing out on me for some reason, or I think it was my connection with you guys or whatever it was, but I just kept on losing you.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. Okay. That's funny because I was like, how did he not review it? That okay. Yeah, I actually do remember that now.
Yeah, and you guys got a chance to say stuff about it, but I got to say nothing about it.
Oh man.
But it was so good. I just really enjoyed this movie. And so that's my number 8.
All right. The Blackening. Let's see here. So let me just add the points up for this. I forget when we did that.
Was it just the 3 of us?
No, I think we had a guest.
I think we did have a guest.
Yeah.
It probably was like Josh, right? No, it wasn't Josh.
I think we had.
I want to say it might have been Rachel.
Oh, I don't think
It wasn't Rachel.
I don't think we did have a guest.
So let me
I
just
think it was just us.
let me see what we did on episode 572, so I can check that real quick.
So were you on for some of the show, MZ, and then we lost you?
Yeah. The connection that I had with you guys, for some reason I can't explain it, was shot. It was just shot to hell.
Yeah, I don't think we had a guest.
Interesting.
I'm gonna just start playing the episode real quick. Hold on. Let me see.
Because I don't want to disqualify this film from my list because I had a chance to review it.
Oh, I jumped ahead to like halfway into the episode, and MZ's like all pixelated and frozen. Yeah, it was just the 3 of us. All right, well there you go. That is a first, I think. So MZ chose his number 8 as The Blackening. I would not be surprised if that doesn't get a sequel.
Yeah.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
I hope it does.
It's definitely right for it. So, All right, Raven Shadow, what is your number 8?
So this is really funny. So we're about to have another first during this year in discussion. So my number 8
is a film I didn't even watch.
I didn't watch.
That could be any of them.
This movie plays upon tropes or an idea that isn't really true about which characters die first, but it became part of a popular culture belief kind of thing. But what I thought was good about this film, amongst a lot was good about this film, was that you liked the characters. You didn't want anybody to die. You liked that they fought back against their attacker. You liked they were a crew. You liked they were friends. And when you fucking, you team up, you're fucking stronger as a team. And goddamn, there was some funny fucking lines. So my number 8 is also The Blackening.
I had no idea you were going there. Oh my god, it's shocking. No.
I was just going to copy my list.
Yeah, from here on out, he's just gonna do MCs.
Yeah. What's your number 9, MZ? Message me. Or fucking 7. What comes next? The Blackening was fun.
It was.
I almost don't want a sequel to it.
I could see why you would say that. I can understand why you would say that, because you want to keep it on its own and not have anything diluted, you know?
Yeah. I love the end. What was the line about? Oh, don't worry, the cops are coming. Whoa, or something along those lines. They all laugh.
Yeah, I did really enjoy that movie. Definitely had some funny highlights, but it was also treated with respect as a horror film too. And yeah, no, I dug it.
Right. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a gimmick. Like these characters, when they got hurt, there was pain there.
Yeah.
You know, they had shit happen to them.
All right, let's continue on then. And it's really sunny out. You guys see this? Like I'm like blowing out. Let me see. I have my light on. Okay, I'll turn my light off so I'm not so blown out. I don't even need the light today with the sun shining right in my fucking face. Feel like Rocky Dennis.
It's been like fucking Seattle meets England here, like for the last like week. It's been rainy and murky.
Murky.
It was sunny here earlier today, and now it's all overcast again. Jesus.
All right, so Raven Shadow. Well, actually, both MZ and Raven Shadow's number 8 was The Blackening. All right, so my number 8. This was a challenging film to place. I really dug this film, and I remember we had a good discussion about this one. I'm pretty sure we had a guest for this one too. Let me just quickly see which episode this was. Sorry for the dead air. And just okay, it was actually earlier in the year than I thought. So episode 556. Let me see. Did we have a guest? Yeah. Okay. So on this one, Rachel joined us for this discussion. That's what I thought I remembered, actually. And it is from a second-generation filmmaker. And he is sort of coming into his own and really following in the family's footsteps in sort of the weird factor and all that. But this had some great performances in it, and ultimately it's a very bizarre movie, but you know, because of the performances, really kind of stood out to me. And there's one actress that is really kind of standing out as like one of the great horror actresses of her time right now, and that's Mia Goth. And also, like, it's funny, we had Cleopatra Coleman ended up being in a few films that we did this year, but she was also in it, and one of the Skarsgård brothers, Alexander. So for me, yeah, this one just kind of stuck with me. It's a weird one, but it was a cool flick, and I'm actually really excited to see what Brandon Cronenberg does next. So for me, number 8, Infinity Pool. All right, now continue on. MZ, let's hear your number 7.
My number 7 is a very multi-layered film, dealing with loneliness, but also becomes an adventure film as well. It's not strictly horror at all, really. It's more of a adventure drama film. There are tropes of, it is seasoned with a little bit of horror, but its overall style is what grabbed me, because I just love the way this film looked. I love the way this film presented itself. It's acted wonderfully, especially by our main protagonist, who basically had the entire film carried on his shoulders. and it wouldn't be anywhere near what it became had a lesser actor been involved, or even a no-name actor. This is one of those rare films where I say, even if it was a no-name actor, it wouldn't be as good. But I'm glad they got this actor in, because he is quite phenomenal in it, and he is, he is a sad case. He is, I don't want to say pathetic. He's not pathetic. He's sympathetic is what I'm looking for. He is a sympathetic character, and we go on this journey with him, and it's an amazing journey, and it is just an incredible story altogether. So my number 7 is Beau is Afraid.
I had a feeling about halfway through you talking, I was like, okay, I think he's talking about that. But yeah, that film is a tour de force for sure. So MZ's number 7 is Beau is Afraid. All right, Raven Shadow, let's hear yours.
My number 7 features a director that I really do enjoy. I think I get really excited about when he has films come out, because I don't want to know anything about them. More on that later. But I still get excited. I think he came out the gate with 2 straight up bangers. For some folks, maybe later films became middling to them, or he took a little bit of heat. I thought he's improved in later works before this film, but I think this film in particular, with the cast, the mood, the acting, and the setup, is definitely, where he needs to be. And I'm really excited for what he does next, and features an actor that in his first career may not be the most interesting person in the world, but goddamn, you give this homeboy a script and direction, and he's killer. And my number 7, still 7, is Knock at the Cabin Door.
Knock at the Cabin.
At the cabin, but you got to use the door to knock.
No, you could knock on a window.
Yeah, or the wall.
Bro.
Well, you knocking on cabin's door.
Yeah. yeah. knocking on them night's door. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Batista, the fucking Harry Potter's boy, being all fucking weird. Jesus. Good shit, man. Good shit, pal.
All right. So that's another one that shows up on 2 lists now. Knock at the Cabin.
He almost said it himself.
I know.
Yeah.
Raven Shadow's influencing me. That's dangerous.
Shit. Sorry, Wolfie.
He almost said it himself.
All right, number 7 for me. So this was a tough one to place, this film. I remember it very fondly because it's hard not to, because it really kind of sticks with you. And it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? The film is very mean-spirited, I guess. It's a mean-spirited film. It really doesn't really care about the characters necessarily. Like they're not treated well in this film. It's almost nihilistic. I think it's a really downer of a film, because there's really not much good that happens in terms of like what happens to the characters. But it ended up being one of the more interesting horror films I've seen in the last couple of years, with the concept. Even though it's something that's been sort of done before, it's done in a way that I think makes it for this new generation, and kind of ties it in to, some things that happen, like social media and things like that. So I think it takes it forward a step into something that we've not quite seen this way before. So yeah, so for me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this directing duo does in the future, because this was really well done, and for a feature film debut is Pretty damn impressive. So I'm actually looking just to see right now if they have something. Yeah, so they have they have something coming up. It's in talks. I guess it's not official, but this directing duo is in talks to do a Street Fighter movie, which would
What?
be really interesting. But yeah, this was their first feature film, and it is Talk to Me from
Oh.
Danny and Michael Philippou. But yeah, this was definitely unrelenting and one of the most mean spirited, like, and when I say evil, I mean evil in the way that it treats its characters, but it sticks with you. And it was like, it just really, thinking back, I couldn't help but put this on the list because it just was really an impressive debut, really impressive. So my number 7 is Talk to Me. All right, let's do number 6, MZ.
Okay. My number 6 film of the year is another multi-layered film. It deals with it deals. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't even know what it's about. I watched it. I loved it, but I'm sitting there scratching my head, saying, "What the hell did I just see?" I don't know what I saw, but I liked it. I liked it an awful lot. It deals with being guarded from the outside world, where all hell is breaking loose. But it also deals with affluenza. Like I said, it's a multi-layered film, but it's truly a bizarre film, and it's also about trust, and its horror is rooted in this director's previous works that we've seen before. So he has a style all his own, and it works for him. It worked in his previous work, in which I have also rated in my top 13, but from a couple years ago or 3 years ago. And it holds true today. It's just really well presented. It's well acted. It's well edited. The pacing is great because it's a long movie, but man, there's very little fat in this film. My number 6 film would be Infinity Pool.
All right, we got Infinity Pool on 2 lists now, and that is MZ's number 6. All right, Raven Shadow, let's hear your number 6.
My number 6 was a violent, disturbing picture that led off with some really intense imagery that I can't recall that we've seen in some time. The violence comes fast and furious, and it's unrelenting. Now, there's moments where, I mean, it relents a little bit, but some elements of the movie goes a little bit off course at times, but overall, I think what it added and what it showed, I was along for the ride because nobody is safe. You're almost more afraid of the quiet moments because that's when shit really goes down. So my number 6 is When Evil Lurks.
All right, Raven Shadow's number 6, When Evil Lurks. All right. So let me see here. Let me just add this to the big list. By the way, I forgot to mention the way that we score this. So let me just take a moment to do that. So when we do top 13, what we do is we add points based on its placement. So if a film is 13th, it gets 1 point. So we basically reverse the numbers, and if it gets number 1, it gets 13 points. So that's how we do it, so that the higher ranked films have a better chance of having a higher ranking in the master list. So that's how we do it. So for instance, I'm just looking at Raven Shadow's list right now. Mad Heidi was number 13. That gets 1 point. Cocaine Bear, number 12. That gets 2 points. Renfield, that gets 3 points. Brooklyn 45 is number 10. That gets 4 points. So on and so forth. So that's how we do it. And then that's how we add it up. So I have, this year I created a spreadsheet where I, basically put the point value next to the movie. And then it has a formula where it just tells me what, it adds gives me the sum of the points. And then I just filter it from high points to low. And that's how we get our list. So ends up working out pretty easily this year. And yeah, so that's how we do that. But now, Raven Chow gave his 6. So my number 6, we'll do that. This was a film, once again, that kind of stuck with me. The actual discussion of the show, or the show that we had the discussion, was kind of felt like a special one to me, because we did sort of like a bit of a gimmick with it. Not a gimmick, but the name of the movie required that we have someone on the show to join us for that. And I know maybe I'm sure, I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say yet, but so we looked toward someone we've never had on the show live and has never joined us for a film discussion. But it ended up being a really cool discussion to have him on, and a really cool opportunity. So, but that film was directed by Lucas Rinker, who, new director to me. It was his feature film debut, and he has he has another one upcoming. I just want to take a quick look and see what it is. He is a director I could see getting some more some more work after this, because I think it was a really taut film. Like the way it was directed, it took place in almost just one location, and it was a tiny location.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Oh no! Holy shit!
That was not intentional.
Took place in a porta potty, and yeah, there you go. So the film is Holy Shit, and we had Reverend Scott join us for that discussion, and I was super surprised by this movie. I just thought, you know what, like, let's just do this movie because it's called Holy Shit, and we can have Reverend Scott join us. Like, isn't that funny? And but I was like super surprised at how fucking good this worked. And it's really one dude in a porta potty for like 95% of the movie, but it works. It works really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, my number 6 is Holy Shit. So
yeah,
I wasn't sure where that was going to go. Like, honestly, like when I think about it, Talk to Me, Infinity Pool were probably better films overall, but there is something about that movie, like just the way it hit and the way it surprised me. I think made it go up the list a little bit for me, and I really enjoyed the discussion as well. And plus, this is a film I think people should see. I think it's one of those ones that like people probably aren't checking out. So I wanted to kind of like champion it a little bit, and I just remember it very fondly.
And it's so much better than the premise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like that in like Glory. You're like, oh, okay, this is what it is. But when you watch it, it's done way better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. So there is my number 6. So we're getting down to the top 5. I think maybe what we'll do now, we can take another voice message, and then we'll start dipping into the top 5. So let me see here. What do we got? All right. So we're going to hear from Dangerous Donnie Davis, I should say, otherwise known as Angry Townsman. And so he provides a list here. He says, I have my top 5 first watches of 2023 and top 5 indie published book series. And he says, I forgot to mention that the books can be read for free through Amazon's Kindle Unlimited program. Okay, awesome. And he says, bonus list, top 5 traditional published book series. I'll read that after. I just
Nice.
listen to the voice message first, and then if need to, and then I'll go ahead and read that. So let's check in with our man, Dangerous Donnie Davis, and let's see what he has to say.
Hey, this is Angry Townsman on Discord, or Donnie Davis. I just wanted to give my some top 5s for 2023. Boy, this has been one heck of a year. We'll just leave it at that. First time watches of 2023. For me, number 5 was Evil Dead Rise. Think it kind of gives us some interesting places to go with the series. Number 4, the first Hammer Dracula movie from '58. I have not seen any of the Hammer Draculas, so I figured I would start this year. Number 3, The Blackening. Yeah, that just had some fun moments in it. Number 2, Cocaine Bear. Best trailer of the year.
Yeah.
And number 1 was Thanksgiving. It may be just because that's one of the most recent movies I've seen, but I had a lot of fun, and that might be one of the better Eli Roth movies I've seen. He's kind of been hit or miss for me, and this was a hit. So I'm gonna be optimistic about his next project. Now, I also wanted to go into some independent book publishing, books that don't necessarily go through the big publishing houses, that the authors may be self-publishing under Amazon. And if you hear any purring, that's my cat.
I do
Jonesy.
hear that. That's
Just
awesome.
say hey. Number 5 is the Villains Code series by Drew Hayes. The first book is Forging Hephaestus. It is a novel set in a world with heroes and villains, and we're kind of following the story of a villain who has energy-based powers, but she's all about building her mech suit and doing crimes that way. She really doesn't use her energy powers for anything other than powering her suit. It was just a fun thing. Number 4 is the Aether's Revival series by Daniel Shinhoven. It's kind of a Magic Academy series. You've got someone, and a little bit of cultivation in there. But it's a fun, interesting series, and I'm hoping the relationships don't get too out of hand in that book. Number 3, Mark of the Fool by J.M. Clark. It's a series of books that started on royalroad.com, and it is about a character who gets marked by the local deity they worship because bad things are coming, but he's got the mark of the fool. It is something that does not let him fight. It prohibits him from casting spells. His whole goal was to be a wizard and go to generosity. So this is a little bit of a Magic Academy one too. It's all about how this character works to work around the issues of the fool. Number 2 is Dungeon Diving by Bruce Centaur. I will say, trigger warning, if poly relationships are a problem, they are apparent in this book. So just giving that as a warning if that offends anyone. But this series is, actually, it's another almost Magic Academy series. I may have a type. But
That's funny.
the number 1 book series, and I think most of these are relatively new series too, is Beware of Chicken by Casual Farmer. This is also based off of a series from royalroad.com. And this is just the a slice of life story. It is a cozy, feel good story. It's like eating chicken soup. It hits you in the feels. A guy wakes up in the body of a martial arts cultivator in a sect who had just gotten beat down, Canadian gentleman. And he's like, oh, heck no. I am not some reincarnated hero. I am not sticking around here. And he leaves to go make a farm. And that premise seems weird. It is weird, but it's the good weird.
Nice.
Hope everyone has a good 2024. Hope your 2023 wasn't crappy. Again, the Singer Townsman. Bye.
Awesome, Angry. It's a great list. Stuff I never would have checked out. But as he said, that all those books can be read for free through Amazon's Kindle Unlimited program. So if you guys are curious about any of those, you can go ahead and check them out.
What a year-end brother.
Year-end brother.
Year-end brother rating 10 out of 10.
Year-end brother rating 10.
That should be a movie. The Year-end Brother.
Oh,
Dude,
man.
private message me, bro.
Right there with the cover.
So let me go ahead and read his bonus list. And this is top 5 traditional published book series. Let's see. I'll start with number 5, Kitty Norville series by Carrie Vaughn. Anita Blake series, up to book 9 by Laurel Hamilton. Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey. And number 1, Future Histories by Robert Heineken. Raven Shadow would probably check that out just because of the dude's last name. Top
I like
5
him
authors
and Doug
with
Rolling Rock. They're really good.
Yeah.
Doug Rolling Rock. Top 5 authors with beer as their last name.
Yeah.
With
Who's the guy that wrote Pull Tab to Open? I like his stuff.
I think that was Bud Weiser.
Yeah. Jonathan Pull Tab to Open.
Yeah. Johnny Pulls.
Oh, he says he corrected it in the chat and says Heinlein. I think Angry's I think his auto correct was trolling him because it came up as Heineken.
Yeah, baby.
But that
Heineken
would-
over Highland, bro.
So that let me just
tab in the Heinekens.
so let me just correct that. Number 1 is Future Histories by Robert Heinlein.
He's good too.
Or Heineken, whichever.
Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Well, Heinlein's the alcohol-free version.
Yeah.
Well, when you
I'm
read
gonna
it,
give him the Heineken maneuver.
the Heinlein maneuver. Yeah. When you read it, you have to drink Heineken. I think that's the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So, well, that's a great list, Angry. Great lists. So, and also the Blackening was very high on Angry's list as well.
Yeah.
So very cool. Thanks for checking in and taking the time to do that. We appreciate it. All right, let's do another voice message. And this is from our boy, Evil Corny. Let's see what his list is all about.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm going to give you all my top 5 horror films of 2023.
Nice.
With number 5, I'm going to say The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. Number 4, The Blackening. Number 3, Beau is Afraid. Number 2, When Evil Lurks.
See?
And number 1, Talk to Me. Y'all have a happy new year. Evil Corny out.
Oh, I thought there was going to be a no shout out to you, Raven Shadow.
I was bummed.
Yeah.
I'm actually once again another top 5 brother right there.
Yeah.
But
His first 2 films, I sensed a theme in his first 2 films. I'm like,
Jesus. I'm actually drinking out of a mug given to me by Corny, so thank you, my
Oh,
friend.
nice.
I appreciate that.
I have
So
I have a mug from Corny right here.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
I don't have any
Kinda see it.
Corny around right now. I got this water bottle.
Did Corny get it for you?
No, he didn't.
That'd be
That's what-
funny if you got you a plastic water bottle, though.
Yeah, from fucking Alabama Springs.
Alabama
Yeah.
Springs.
Yeah, but I have to fill it myself. That's the thing. It came empty.
That's good.
So,
Courtney's a dude.
is he a dude or is he a brother?
He's a dude.
Brother.
He's a druther.
He's a-
No. All right. Well, Corny, Evil Corny, thanks, man. And great list. I know it's kind of funny. Like I feel like in a way I scooped Evil Corny for his Patreon show because he wanted to pick Talk to Me and When Evil Lurks, but we had ended up just picking them just prior to his coming up. So I felt kind of bad about that. But it makes sense that those would be his top two. So great list there, Evil Corny. Thanks for sending it in. All right, let's continue. I think we have one more. That's all the voice messages. We did get an email, one email that I'm going to read, and I'll read that in a little bit later. So let's get into the top 5. So MZ, you're number 5.
Hey, my number 5 is a very colorful film, but deals so very much with black and white. Our main star of this film is not the title character, but I'm sure that's okay. This film is again a new spin on an old idea, and it's very entertaining. It's fast paced at times. There's some decent fight scenes going on here. I think the choreography on those fight scenes are okay too. They're not the greatest in the world, but they're certainly passable. But it's also interesting to see what our main antagonist does and what it's like living in today's world. And and the performance of the actor playing this character is just nothing short of amazing, because he is such a good actor, and he plays the role of Dracula with just an incredible amount of ease. It seems like he was born for this role. And he has another vampire film under his belt anyway. So with that said, my number 5 film is Renfield.
Wow.
Very entertaining movie.
Renfield, fetch me my top 13.
Renfield, fetch my best kiss nomination.
Yeah.
MTV.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Renfield, number 5 for MZ. Raven Shadow, what is your number 5?
So my number 5, again, features a director that I am a complete mark for. I get excited every time they do a project, and I've not been disappointed since. He's covered multiple genres, from straight up action to giallo, which is not necessarily my gimmick, but I appreciate it. And regardless of being able to say we're friends in real life, I was still down with him taking on the superhero genre and collaborating with a anime manga legend. So my number 5 is Karando Mitsutake's kick ass in every single way Lion Girl.
All right. Yeah, I was curious where that one was going to land for people. That was going to be my guess for your number 1 for a little bit if we went sentimental pick. So that's why I ended up going with my gut, and my gut was still wrong. So,
but straight shoot, like, I mean, I once again, I feel we're lucky to be, we're friends in real life, but we were fans of him creatively before that, and the dude doesn't disappoint.
Right.
Absolutely. And he's just, obviously, I mean, you said it, he's a great dude though, and great friend. Yeah. All right.
For sure.
So number 5, we had Lion Girl from Raven Channel. My number 5. This once again, this was so when we get into the top 5 here, this is difficult because like I feel like 1 and 2 were pretty much set as soon as I started looking at the films, but then 3, 4, 5, like we're kind of like I could see any of these sort of being in there. And so I just tried to go on like remembering like what I felt after watching it. This one kind of, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it to be this good though. And it was a film that it's been done before. This concept has been done before, but this did it in a way I'd never seen before. And great performance. It hinges on one actor. And it just was a great performance. And from a director who I'm not all that familiar with, he's done some stuff that I've seen, but mostly in terms of, I think he's written more stuff than he's directed. Because he's only directed 2 films, so I've seen more of his stuff that he's written. But this was one of his features, and this really just kind of like blew me away how good it was. And that is from director Brian Duffield, the film No One Will Save You, the alien home invasion film. So that would be my number 5. All right, MZ. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Number 4 for you.
One out. Hold on. Okay. My number 4 film is a film that deals with it deals with a lot of fears. And the fears come from all over the place, from seclusion to just being bullied at school, to secrets, ominous, dark secrets, to monsters, to things that might be under your bed. And this movie encapsulates, for the most part, all of those in various forms, I might say. It's got a great atmosphere to it. It's very well acted, and I felt that it's really a creepy flick. The makeup effects are very well done. It's got its fair share of violence, and it's basically ghost creature abuse and childhood trauma, and it has all that plus more. It's set it has a setting to it that's very, very dark. If whatever daylight is in this movie is pretty much like today, is all cloudy and shit. So it's even when it's daylight, there's still a looming darkness above it, and it feels like there's no hope at all. But in the end, this is just a phenomenal movie, and I loved watching it. And I watched it again yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I may be biased in saying that this is the reason why it's up as high as it is, because I did have it lower. But when I watched it, I'm like, God damn, this is such a good movie, because it checked all the boxes, and it was just a well acted movie, and it has everything. It's such a good movie, and it's creepy too, and it leaves the door open at the end. Not saying there's going to be a sequel. There's always a possibility, but I don't think there will be. So my number 4 film is Cobweb.
Wow.
There you go. MZ's number 4 is Cobweb. All right, Raven Shadow, let's hear your number 4.
My number 4 deals with class structure, ethical dilemmas.
Dilemmas.
Release.
It's quite the
Dilemma.
glamour. Dilemmas. Um, it deals with right and wrong, owning your shit, taking responsibility. And what would you do if you had kind of a get out of
Klondike
jail
bar?
free
Oh,
card?
never mind.
As long as you had the cash money to pay for it. It's very rare when the son of a director can form their own path, but what we've seen from this person's past work definitely proves that they are a creative force on their own. This was a very fun episode with our guest and friend Rachel from the Zombie Girls. Not really a fun movie, but powerful, impactful, and I would say my number 4 is Infinity Pool.
All right. And that is the first film that's shown up on all 3 of our lists.
Flickity-doo.
Took to number 4. It's pretty it just goes to show you, I guess, right? Like it's crazy year film. So Raven Show's number 4, Infinity Pool. Let's see, did I mark that? Yeah, okay. I'll mark that one down. All right. My number 4. All right, this one has been mentioned already, and this one just kind of stuck with me. I really, it does. It's more of a character study. It does a lot with very little, and it was a personal story for the director, and it's one that I don't know. Like after watching it, like it just kind of stuck with me. Like it was really really well made, really great performances, and deals with some stuff that I think is even more relevant now than when we talked about it. And it's one I probably would definitely revisit, but great performances. Featured Larry Fessenden, Jeremy Holm, Ronnie Raines, Ezra Buzzington, Christina Klebe, Anne Ramsey, and not that Anne Ramsey, MZ, the other Anne Ramsey. And it was
It would be awesome if that Anne Ramsey was in it.
And it was directed by someone we've had on the show before. We interviewed Ted Gagan way back in the day after We Are Still Here. So back in, I think that came out 2015. So we probably had him on 2015, 2016. But it's his film, Brooklyn 45.
Yeah, boy.
Really dug this film. Really well made and very personal, and it feels it. So, yeah, for me, Brooklyn 45. Number 4. All right, we're moving on now into the top 3, MZ. Let's hear it.
Ooh. All right. Well, number 3 is a film that at first I wasn't too sure about the story, not so much the story, but the characters and how they play itself out. Then I got to think about it. I watched it again and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I was a little too hasty the first time around. And I might have to reassess my opinion of the characters and how they are presented in this movie, especially one particular character. But it's once again, it's a new spin on an old story. And I enjoyed this quite a bit. I loved how it presented itself. I loved the ending. I thought the ending was perfect. And also I feel like it was very what's the word I'm looking for? It deals a lot with trust and the ability to make science your own thing, to achieve science, to beat science, to beat life, or in this case, actually to beat death. All a lot of great performance in this, especially from one particular character who, like I said, put in just an absolutely fantastic performance because of her physical ability and the way her appearance, and that led to her performance being just that much better. So my number 3 is, and it's brought to you by someone who never did a feature before. This is the feature film debut, is Birth, Rebirth.
Oh.
A lot of out of you. Whenever I say my title, you're always like, like he's contemplating what. Why would he pick that?
It's funny.
He's stroking his beard and everything. What are you, some sort of a psychologist?
He wishes.
Tell me about your mother slowly. No, don't do that.
Oh God, that was creepy.
Happy birthday. I'm sorry.
You're like a theoretician or something. You're like,
So that it's interesting because when we were talking about that just a couple of days ago, when you were saying that you had trouble like understanding why the mother like not that you had trouble understanding the mother, but if you were in the position where you found your dead child, you would not go along with it the way that she did. I was thinking that you didn't like the movie. Like, it was funny. That's why that surprises me.
No, see, what it was is that, I mean, the more I thought about it, the more it was like, well, I can understand her doing that, but it was just the amount of blowback that she gave towards it that kind of threw me off a little bit, that I would expect some sort of resistance from her regarding this.
I was thinking about it too, and I was actually re-listening to the episode just to see how if I was funny recently. But no, I think about that scene with the character of Cecilia, and not only is she from a mother perspective, but she's also a nurse, which is her job is to go in and do stuff. So I think her job title and her relation to the character made everything else, or to the child rather, made everything else irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, of course, the first job of a mother is to be a mother, and she's a mother first, So there's that to take into account as well.
Yeah.
Because my mom would hide a body for me.
Well, I mean, she buys you smoke.
Yeah,
she buys you smoke, so of course.
Yeah.
Of course you.
All right. Well, let's.
She get the lime from BJ's.
All right. Well, let's continue on. We already discussed that one just recently. So, Raven Shadow, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a movie that when I saw the poster of it, it could go either way. And I really thought it would go the way of, this is going to fucking burn my ass. Like, the title was stupid to me. It was too long. And I'm like, this is going to be like other type of wacky indie fucking things that, I don't know, weren't going to work for me. And within the first few minutes of the picture, I'm like, yep, nope, this is going to piss me off. And then there's a certain argument at a dinner table or a breakfast table. And then there are lines, and then there are quotes, and there's the cast of characters, and there's a fucking box demon or troll, whatever the fuck it is, and goddamn, I had fun with this picture. So my number 3 is Onyx the Fortuitous.
All right. So Raven Shadow's number 3, Onyx the Fortuitous, and you don't remember the rest of the title?
Fortuitous in the Chamber of Secrets, some fucking
God. Yeah.
Wow. Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls.
Right. See, I'm already pissed off by hearing the title again.
Yeah, you've Raven shadowed it again.
All right.
But I'm all about the shame hole, bro.
Oh no, it was Chamber.
Chamber, yeah. Yeah. Chamber.
All right. So
I gotta take a big old shit.
I gotta take a big one.
Now? Yeah.
All right. Number 3 for Raven Shadow, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. My number 3. This one is already been mentioned, but so I don't want to say too much about this, but this one was a brutal horror movie. We are a horror show for the most part, and this film was just absolutely fucking brutal. And but with that said, this also had heart to it. Like it might have been hard to see that heart at times, but it was there. Unlike Talk to Me, which like was hard to see. I just felt like it was just brutal for the sake of being brutal, where this one is brutal, but I don't know, like there's something, they were kind of neck and neck for me with like best pure horror, but this one ended up winning out because it's just the sense of dread, everything that plays out. It had some shocking scenes, had some great practical effects, and it's a director that it's the first film I've seen of his, but definitely won't be the last. There's another one that he has that I want to check out soon. I just haven't done it yet. That is Terrified. But he also did one of the shorts on Satanic Hispanics. And that is Damien Rugna and his film When Evil Lurks. Just a brutal horror film. And just so well done. It's just everything about it is just incredibly well done. So there you go. When Evil Lurks is my number 3. Let's see here. So I'm gonna mark it down. When do we do that? Oh, okay. Just number 11, 11 points is what it gets because it's my number 3. All right. Well, MZ was gonna go next, but you know what? We got one more. It's not a voicemail, but we do have a list. Top 5. And this is from another brother rating a 10, Raven Shadow. You'll say that without even knowing who it is. And that is from our boy EF Contentment.
Yeah,
He
boy.
had provided his top 5 Trick or Treat radio films of 2023. And his number 5, Brooklyn 45. His number 4, No One Will Save You. Number 3, Knock at the Cabin.
See.
Number 2, The Killer. And EF Contentment's number 1 Trick or Treat radio film of 2023, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. I don't know. He actually put that in there. So
Fuck you, Todd.
So there you go. EF ranking Onyx pretty high.
Such an in-sync brother.
All right. MZ, I don't know if you missed it, but my number 3 was When Evil Lurks.
Okay.
So now we're on to your number 2.
My number 2, I was immediately drawn to for a variety of reasons. The atmosphere, the suspension, the fear, the scares. Not violent, highly suspenseful. But in terms of this type of this, in this subgenre, it would always be terrifying. And we dealt with that in the film Cobweb to a certain degree. It's well acted. It's inspired me to start doing a little bit of writing.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah. I'm taking this idea and I'm spinning it a little bit. But I thought this movie was fantastic, and which is not to say that it's when I say that this movie is really, really good, it is good. Of course, as we've mentioned before in previous years, this would be further down the list, but it sits at number 2 this year. And I love this movie. And there's really not much to say about it because not much does get said. And that is, no one will save you.
All right. Yeah, I was curious where that was going to end up for folks, but looks like it ends up number 2 for MZ. All right. Raven Shadow, let's hear your number 2.
My second to last selection is a South Korean takeoff of or reimagining of had elements of a late 90s masterpiece in my eyes, but does it so much better in terms of plausibility. This movie kicked all the ass, and I was tense, I was afraid, I was concerned, and I was along for the ride. So my second to last is Devils.
All right. And it's funny, that was when I was trying to guess your pick, your number 1 pick, like that was my recency bias one. I was like, oh, well, it's probably going to be that.
Yeah, I mean, I am a face-off mark of the highest order, but this just did it fucking. Oh, yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it where it makes sense.
All right. So number 2 for Raven Shadow was Devils. All right. My number 2, this was so hard, actually. This was hard for number 1 and 2. Because 1 clearly was my favorite, like, film. Like, you know, toss on my monocle. Like, this had it all. This had the, you know, so my number 1 was kind of like, I kind of have to pick this. But then a late entry in December was like, came out of nowhere and was like, boom, here I am. And I was like, fuck, this is going to be tough. Where does this go? Where does this rank? I had it initially at number 1. And then as I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? As much as like this movie came out of nowhere and surprised me, it's going to be difficult for me to put it number 1 ahead of this other movie. So it did slide down to number 2 for me. That is not any sort of indication of the quality. Obviously, it's my number 2 film of the year. But this one completely surprised me. It almost was an afterthought for the show. Like I almost hate to admit that we almost didn't do this because I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about this. It's got some actors in it that could make it pretty cool, but I don't really know anything about this. But I'm so glad that we ended up doing it. And that is the picture from Andrew Bowser, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls, my number 2 film of the year. And it gets a little higher because that sort of like champion mentality of like, I want to champion this film because people need to see this. You know, it's like, it's just so fucking ridiculous and funny and heartfelt and silly at times. And Jeffrey Combs like fucking chews up every fucking scene that he's in this. And it's just memorable. It's a memorable film that we're going to be quoting for a while. I don't know. You know, such a surprise and such a fantastic film. So yeah, for me, my number 2 of the year is Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls.
And to be fair, my 3 and 2 flip-flopped quite a bit. That was my biggest struggle. Was that in Devils. Yeah.
So the Devils flipped your flopper is what you said.
Well, it's been doing that for 47 years, brother.
All right, so we are back. We are at number 1. So MZ, do you have your whole list in front of you? Do you want to run down 13 through 2? Okay, go ahead and do 13 through 2, and then go ahead and announce your number one pick of the year.
Okay, my number 13, Satanic Hispanics. Number 12, Suitable Flesh. Number 11, Sisu. Number 10, Skinamarink. Number 9, Knock at the Cabin Door. Number 8, Blackening. Number 7, Beau is Afraid. Number 6, Infinity Pool. Number 5, Renfield. Number 4, Cobweb. Number 3, Birth, Rebirth. Number 2, No One Will Save You. And my number 1 is a film.
Oh,
that has
do you want me to get the? Hold on, I almost forgot.
Sure, why not? Why not?
Fuck it. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think I have it. Yep. All right, here we go.
That's never not funny.
I know.
Okay. My number 1 film is a film that is getting a shit ton of praise. I have yet to see anything bad said about it. There's almost no negative judgments on this film at all. It's slimy, it's sleazy, it's dirty, it's disgusting, it's grotesque, it's pus-filled. It's got a great story, good characters, shocking violence, and it's just a well-rounded film. The tension is there, the violence is there, the story is there, the atmosphere is definitely there. It hits all the check marks. It checks all those boxes that I look for in a film, and it's perfectly directed. And I urge everyone to see it. In fact, I kick at myself that I waited until the time came to review this film that I had to that I saw it. So my number 1 film is When Evil Lurks. Michael Ravenshadow got it right.
Yeah, boy.
Look at that.
I thought I was going to lose, but you guys did. I fucking guessed right.
Yeah, both of mine were wrong. I guess Renfield for Ravenshadow and Onyx the Fortuitous for MZ. And yeah, so there you go. Ravenshadow got that one right. Wow. I'm not shocked.
You should be shocked.
But what I'm more shocked about is that Onyx wasn't on your list. That's what I'm shocked about.
Yeah.
The reason why Onyx wasn't on my list is because of the lead actor.
Oh, come on.
Andrew Bowser.
It's your list. It's your list.
Because his speech pattern is just so wonky. It's to the point where it's annoying. It's a good movie. Except that speech pattern from him. And that really dragged it down for me. It was in my what'd you call it? No, honorable mentions.
Okay.
It was in my honorable mentions because the story was so good, because the performances were so good, but his performance brought it down. And that was another one that as I mentioned before, as I thought about it, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's not as good as I thought, or, and excised altogether from my list. And that was one of them.
All right. So MZ's number 1, When Evil Lurks.
Wow.
All right. Michael Ravenshadow. I don't know. The 3 I would have thought that you would have picked, you've already named. So what is it going to be, Michael Ravenshadow? What is your... Oh, actually, do you have all your 13 through 2s in front of you?
I do.
Do you know how to read backwards? 13 to 2, I forget.
I read from the top down.
All right, we'll go ahead and do 13 to 2 and then give us your number 1.
All right, Ravenshadow's top 13 of 2023. Number 13, Mad Heidi. Number 12, Cocaine Bear. Number 11, Renfield. Number 10, Brooklyn 45. Number 9, Wrath of Becky. Number 8, The Blackening. Number 7, Knocking on the Cabin's Door in the Woods. Number 6, When Evil Lurks. Number 5, A Lion Girl. Rrr. Number 4, Infinity Pool. Number 3, Onyx the Fortuitous in the Chamber of Secrets and whatever the fuck. Number 2, Devils. And number 1, oh. And you know, I'm not really, I'm the least horror guy on the show, right? You know what I mean? Like action, whatever the fuck's in my wheelhouse. And if you've seen a trend,
And your whale
I
house.
love, what's it?
And your whale house.
In my whalehouse. If you've known anything from my list, you know I fucking hate Nazis. I look at Captain America punch Hitler in the face every day with the poster that Corny got me and Marion framed. And I could watch Nazis getting fucked up all day long. And this movie essentially is the golden age John Wick. A little bit of flair of Rodriguez, Tarantino, Grindhouse, but all badass. So my number 1, my man's got a dog and a horse, landmines. There's no other word for it unless you finish. It's Sisu.
All right, Sisu. That means MZ won. He picked Raven Shadows, number 1.
Yeah.
I'm the
I
only
picked
one that
yours and
didn't
you
get
picked
any.
Mine.
Yeah, look at that. You guys are in simpatico. Look at that. You know what? I should have known. I mean, all 3 movies that had something to do with killing Nazis was on your list.
Right? That's fun.
So
Well, it is fun. Why are we laughing?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I should have just known, but Raven Shadows number 1. Oh wait, I mismarked something for you on. I'll have to double check my work. Shit. Because I mismarked something for you. It might have been. I wonder if it was mine. Shit. Yeah, you know what? That's what it was. Okay, so my mark for Sisu I put on yours, so I can fix that. Okay. So it's a movie that showed up on everyone's list.
Yep.
It was number 10 for me. It was number 11 for MZ. Number 1 for Raven Shadow. Sisu.
Yeah.
Sisu Studio. So how about that? All right, number 1. So in the
I love
future,
when the Nazis blow up in the fucking minefield.
in the future, I'm going to remember when there's a movie that involves killing Nazis that it'll be Raven Shadows number 1.
Treat.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened a few years ago. He picked the man who killed the Bigfoot and
Oh yeah,
stopped
yeah.
Hitler.
Yeah.
He's big into Nazis.
Killing Nazis.
Killing Nazis. Yeah, let's be clear. All right,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and give my number 1. So I'm going to go through my 13 through 2. Number 13, Kids versus Aliens. I was actually surprised no one else had that on their list. I thought that might have been a good candidate for like a 13 or something, you know?
Yeah, fair.
Wasn't one that was going to be, you know, in top 5 for anyone. But my number 12, Cobweb. Number 11, Where the Devil Roams. That's another one. I think I was the only one who had that. Yeah. That's a little surprising. I guess maybe not that. My number 10 was Sisu. My number 9, no surprise, was only on my list, Ennis, Maine.
I got an Ennis, man.
I kind of figured that would be the case. Number 8, Infinity Pool, also appeared on everyone's list. Talk to Me was my number 7. Did anyone else?
Nope.
Wow. I'm actually surprised neither of you guys had that. Do you remember that movie, Raven Shadow?
Yeah, talk to me. You know, the fucking head thing, head trauma and shit.
It was
Yeah, that's
Hand,
fucked
the
up.
Hand.
No, the head trauma, though. The head, the kid, the brother.
All right, number 6 for me, Holy Shit. Once again, not on anyone's list. Number 5, No One Will Save You. Number 4, Brooklyn 45. Number 3, When Evil Lurks. Number 2, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. And my number 1 film of the year is... This film was a 3-hour marathon of anxiety, pain, loneliness, and it was a fucking journey. This movie, the reason it's number 1 is because I felt almost everything that the main character was going through, and it felt. And that doesn't happen often in films when I feel the anxiety and the fears and all those things that the character feels. And it's because of the way it was presented. It's an exhausting film. It absolutely is an exhausting film for that reason. But the performance was, the main performance was outstanding, but it had a lot of other really great side performances, which also really helps make this film what it was. And the direction is just top notch. This director has put out film after film that are just incredible films. This is the 3rd one we've done from this director. And I can't wait to see what's coming next. I don't know what his next film will be, but for me, they're sort of becoming appointment viewing. And my number 1 film of the year is Beau is Afraid. Just, man, like, what a fucking tour de force this film was. I wasn't sure either after watching it that it would end up being number 1. I was like, ooh, man, like, I'm not sure if I loved it, but I'm not sure if it will stick. But, yeah, it stuck.
Wow.
So Beau is Afraid is my number 1. So that was a film that was only on 2 lists. Wasn't on Raven Shadows.
Interesting selection this year.
Yeah, definitely. There wasn't a lot of, not a lot of similarities. Like, a lot of times you'll have like, yeah, okay, well, this one is, sure, we all had the same number 1 or, like something like that.
Right.
But this one, we all had different number 1s. We all had different number 2s. I think we all had different number 3s. Yep. I think, yeah, like it's a very interesting list. When I just do all the double checks on the scores, I just because I made one mistake, I have to now go back and double check because I don't want to have any mistakes in it. But there's going to be some that are going to be surprising, like as to which, like I still don't quite know which one's going to win here. I think I know because there's a few that were on 3 lists and some that weren't. But yeah. So if you guys would, I'm going to double check my work on the master list here just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. If you guys would maybe just, we'll leave honorable mentions for the Patreon show, I think, because we'll pretty much finish this up and go right to that. But yeah, just if you guys have any other thoughts about like the list or surprises, omissions or anything like that, feel free to just go nuts, and I'm gonna just kind of check my work here.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm really surprised that Birth Rebirth didn't end up on anybody else's list. Yeah, I'm shocked.
And that's fair. That was a. I think I said it during the discussion. Like, it was a really good movie. I don't know if I could. How quick I'm going to rush out to watch it again. But that shouldn't take away from what the picture was, because that was a better film than I thought it would be. But it was a great film. Also big ups to Suitable Flesh. That was fucked up too. Kids versus Aliens definitely could have been a 13 or 12.
Yeah, but this, I mean, we probably have more single list movies this year than any other year. It has to be because
That's fair.
Because everything was just so mediocre. And I'm not saying that the film that I pick as number one when Evil Lurks is being mediocre. Far from it. But on any other year, that would not be number one. I can tell you that right now. It just felt like there was a certain stagnance about this year's movies. It was really a disappointing year for film this year.
Interesting. Though, but see, now I didn't feel there were a lot of true stinkers. I do have my Dear God No. But I think, to Wolfie's point, I think it was a very, very down the middle year.
Yeah, it's exactly like
It's good.
I mean, I expected not so much Satanic Suitable Flesh. I expected to be on somebody else's list, and it wasn't. And I was really surprised with that. Yeah, like The Blackening ended up on number 8 on my list, ended up on number 8 on your list. So, brains there.
See,
right?
And we picked each other's movie.
Yeah. Infinity Skinamarink. I can understand why that's not on anybody's list. I get it. I totally get it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, that would have made a good 13 or 12 for one of you guys, I'm sure. And Ennis Men with what Wolfie picked. Yeah, that was definitely going to be just on his list alone. I saw it and I'm like, I'm looking at it on my list and I'm like, yeah, he's going to be the only one picking that because he's the only one who liked it. and honestly, I don't know if that's part of the reason why it's on his list and as high as it is, rather. Not so much that it's on his list, but why it's as high as it is, because he knew he was going to be the only one who liked it.
No, but Wolfie's got to keep it real. He's going to call it like he sees him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree with that, but it may, little maybe, subconscious thinking that like, oh, those guys didn't like it, but I thought it was brilliant, so I'm just gonna nudge them and put it at number. What was it? Number 7? You got it at, or something like that.
I'm sorry. Ennis Men. 9, number 9.
Okay, Anus. Anus.
But I think it's also without having a fourth element, to kind of like counterbalance. I'm curious to see what, not to be fair, not to be nothing, but like I think with some of the contributions we had, they kind of overlap some of things we've had on our list too. But we do watch a lot of fucking movies over the course of the year.
Yeah, believe me, I wish we'd watched more.
All right, slow it down.
Like last night, I watched The Boogeyman, and that was like, that was nothing. It was like, what the hell? And then I started watching this, and I got to watch the rest of it tonight. I started watching this movie called, what the hell was it called? Hold on.
I spit on your balls.
Wow.
Jesus, dude.
That's a new Italian movie coming
Can you
out.
get any darker than that? It's a Russian film, though it must be some different part of Russia because these guys are very the people who are in this movie are very, very ethnic looking. That I was watching this movie called what is it called? Sweetie You Won't Believe It.
Wait,
Oh.
what's it called?
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with that. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's called Sweetie, You Won't Believe It. And it's funny. There's some funny moments in it, some good dialogue in it. It's all about these three guys who go out to celebrate one of their friends getting married. Like he's getting married soon, and so the guys hold up the celebration for him by taking him out to like the woods and go fishing or something on that idea, and they witness an execution out in the lake, in the woods, and whatever, this creek or whatever, and hijinks ensue. So, but it's funny so far. It's bizarre as fuck. I'll say that.
And not to, I love Kostroma Russia brother, but are Russians known for their comedy aside from Yakov Smirnov?
Well, I mean, we don't really have much exposure, so I think it would be difficult for us to say. But I mean, with how like they're treated by their government, like I would hope that there's probably some people that have comedy, but it's probably one of those things where it's I don't know, like probably very monitored. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the comedy there is very closely scrutinized and looked at.
In communist Russia, we tell you when to laugh.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, we have the list. I double checked it, and everything's right. So I just did make that one mistake. Let's see. Marion asked a question. You guys really didn't love Evil Dead Rise, huh? Wasn't on anyone's list, right?
And it was almost on my list, Marion, which I did really enjoy. Evil Dead Rise. I did.
You know what? Let's save that for the Patreon, because maybe it'll be an honorable mention. But okay. So interesting thing about, let me give you some stats about the movies. So of the 61 movies that we watched this year, 25 of them showed up on lists. So pretty, like even though a lot didn't appear on all 3 lists, there was a lot that showed up on 2 lists. And let me see here. So let me just do some quick math here. So it's funny. Yeah. Okay. So the top 13, let me just double check my math here. Yeah. So the top 13, they, aside from one movie, all appeared on multiple lists. So there's one movie that only appeared on one list, but all the others appeared on multiple lists. So the top 13, all of them except one movie appears on multiple lists. And anything out of the top 13 only appeared on one list. So films like Birth, Rebirth, Lion Girl, Holy Shit, Talk to Me, Wrath of Becky, Ennis Main, Skinamarink, Where the Devil Roams, Suitable Flesh, Cocaine Bear, Satanic Hispanics, Mad Heidi, and Kids vs. Aliens. All those only showed up on one list. So I feel like there's a lot more parity this year in terms of like how things were spread out. And there was, let me see, only 3 movies. Is that right? Yeah, only 3 movies that showed up on all 3 of our lists.
Wow.
So that is surprising. And also another fact, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the last 5 movies in the top 13 were tied with the same amount of points. So I had to use the tiebreaker to break that tie. And the way we do the tiebreaker is the movie that appeared higher up on a list is the one that breaks the tie. So for instance, if one appeared number 2, as we'll find out, for someone, because it ranked so high, that was the tiebreaker and what made it appear higher on someone's list. I forget if we have, if there's any, you know what? I might have to check because I think if it appears on more than one list, I think that's also a tiebreaker. I don't remember what, for the sake of this, we'll just go with the highest ranking is what breaks the tie. I think in the past we've done, if it appears on more than one list, then that breaks the tie. But since we had a 5-way tie, I had to just do it one way. So, well, now Raven Shadow just appeared. I was just about to to give the list. But yeah, so that's sort of like the interesting thing. Well, I'll just talk about one that just missed out. And that is number 14 actually would have been or is Birth Rebirth MZ. So because that only ended up on your list and it got 11 points, it just missed out because the next 5 were all tied with 12 points.
Damn.
So just missed out. But let's run down the list. I don't care if he's here or not. I'm just going to run down the list because I want to get a move on and start recording the Patreon show. So number 13 on the Trick or Treat Radio Master List for 2023. Number 13, The Blackening. Number 12, Knock at the Cabin. Number 11, Renfield. Number 10, Cobweb. And all of those appeared on multiple lists. But the one that broke the tie for all the ones that had 12 points, number 9, Devils, because it ranked highest on a list. So Raven Shadow, please read me back the 13 through 9 of the master list. You should remember it because you were listening, right?
Wait, what?
You walked away when I started the fucking master list, you asshole.
I know. I felt bad about that. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. You don't feel bad whatsoever.
I feel bad.
I'm gonna do them real. You know what? You'll have to wait till I get to number 1. Number 8 was Brooklyn 45. Number 7 was Sisu, and that was the first film to appear on everybody's list. Number 6, Beau is Afraid, and that one was tied with Sisu, but because it was my number 1, that is the tiebreaker. Number 5, No One Will Save You. Number 4, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls.
Really?
I'm sorry. I was reading. You know what? I fucked this all up. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Start over. What's the number 13?
The reason I fucked up is on my spreadsheet. It the first line is reserved for like the headers. So I actually screwed up. I'm sorry. So you get to hear it again, Raven Shadow. And what this means is, MZ, is that Birth Rebirth is now on the list.
Yeah.
So I was reading it as 14th, but because on my spreadsheet the number 1 line is taken by the header, then it's different. So number 14, Birth Rebirth. Number 13, The Blackening. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can renumber this because it keeps screwing me up.
Let's start over. My number 13.
Let's see if I can do that. Nah, all right. I'm just going to... Never mind. Number 13, Birth Rebirth. Number 12, The Blackening. Number 11, Knock at the Cabin. Number 10, Renfield. Number 9, Cobweb. Number 8, Devils. Number 7, Brooklyn 45. Number 6, Sisu. Number 5, Beau is Afraid. Number 4, No One Will Save You. Number 3, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. Number 2, Infinity Pool. And the number 1 film. Let me get the drum roll again.
Wow.
Number 1 film for Trick or Treat Radio, year 2023, When Evil Lurks. Appeared on everyone's list. It appeared as number 1 for MZ, number 3 for me, and and number 6 for Raven Shadow. Yeah, that's surprising. No, I mean, not surprising that was the best film of the year. But I thought that one or two others might win out.
I thought so too. I thought Onyx would have been higher, and you
Yeah.
know what? Maybe I should have put that at number 2.
Well, hindsight's a
Would have been
hell of a thing, Raven Shadow, huh?
Yeah, too late now.
Yeah.
You had your opportunity and you blew it. Way to go.
Wouldn't be the first time.
So let me read the points. Yeah, so this is the first time we've done it with only 3 of us, I believe. So it's interesting. There's a, in the past when we've had 4 or even sometimes 5, it ends up being a different thing entirely. But When Evil Lurks had 32 points, so by far had the most. Infinity Pool had 24. Onyx had 23. And No One Will Save You had 21.
Wow.
There you go. That is the top 13 for Trick or Treat Radio 2023. When Evil Lurks, you'll get your award in the mail.
You get nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
So you know what? We'll react to it on the Patreon because that's what that's for.
Okay.
Oh, let me just see here. Casual Noob, he gave his list, I think. 13, Kids vs. Aliens. 12, Brooklyn 45. 11, Suitable Flesh. 10, Lion Girl. 9, It's a Wonderful Knife. 8, Candyland. 7, Megan? We didn't do that one, though.
My cousin's name is Megan.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean there, but if you can correct
Probably
that,
his.
please. Number 6, Evil Dead Rise. Number 5, Renfield. Number 4, Cobweb. Number 3, Outwaters. Number 2, No One Will Save You. And number 1, Attachment. And
Wow.
he says, I'd like to call into question the validity of Raven Shadow's list as we don't know how many movies he correctly watched.
I watched all of these.
Knows you well.
It's good. All right. Well, that's it. That's it for 2023. Who knows what 2024 is going to hold? Hopefully it is. Hopefully we get some better films. I hope it's solid like this year, but hopefully there's some higher highs. So, well, that's going to do it for this. We will hop on over to Patreon. So if you're listening live and you're a Patreon supporter, I'll post this in the Discord, a link to the Patreon show. We're going to take a quick fiver, but I would like to try to keep the show to like 45 minutes. We'll try to do it relatively quickly, do our top 5s, do our Dear God Knows, and maybe a little bit of honorable mention talk. So, all right. Well, it was a great year, and let's say our goodbyes for this one. So, MZ, go ahead.
Okay, arrivederci, douchebags, and see you, douchebags, in 2024.
All right, Raven Shadow.
Hey, yes, I want to say that I loved this year in particular doing this with you guys. MZ, I'm glad you're back where you belong. Missed the fuck out of you, and I've really enjoyed what we've done this year. I think we've had some great, rotating fourths. I thought we've had some great outside the box attempts at doing things different, whether it be Patreon or just special things aside. I think Wolfie's done a great job of doing the heavy lifting. And I just want to thank you two brothers and all our brothers and sisters who listen and contribute in any way they can. But once again, it's totally free to leave 5-star reviews. Just throwing it out there. But for this year and for next year, live fast, love hard, die with your mask on.
All right. That is going to do it. And I echo those sentiments. MZ, I'm glad you're back. And the year was better with you. So appreciate your contributions this year and glad that you're back joining us. So who knows what next year's going to bring, but we got a lineup of solid flicks to start off the year. So I'm looking forward to it, and appreciate all the listeners' support, whether it's monetary or just listening or tuning in or just interacting or just saying, hey, we appreciate every little bit. So and if you guys have thoughts, questions about our list, or you want to contribute your own, you still got time. Just send it into podcast@trickortreatradio.com over the course of the next few weeks to months. And that's going to do it. So we'll see you guys next year. How about that?